Similar to last year, maybe the people have changed. Their style of play has not changed. Really fast in transition, obviously because they're in a zone. So they've got two guards 15 feet ahead of yours for the most part. Have been unbelievably dominant up until the last 10 days. Rick Jackson, if it wasn't for Kemba Walker, would be getting more notice for Player of the Year. It's just really, really good. Dominates the paint. Chris Joseph is a first-team All-Conference player, and their two guards have been a catalyst in many of their games.
Have you seen any central themes? You know, they lost 3 in a row, which is pretty rare for them. The teams that have beaten them, what they've been doing successfully to beat Syracuse?
Made shots. Okay. Not to sound silly, right. But, I mean, that's really – I mean, Seton Hall just made shot after shot. Villanova made a lot of threes. When you make shots, it always looks better, you know, particularly when you're playing against a zone. When you can make shots against their zone, now the next possession they're shading that side. So can you get action on the weak side? Can you get action down on the baseline? Can you penetrate through the top? And I think that's what teams have been able to do, has been able to make shots.
Just kind of a two-parter. How do you think you guys have done against the zone in general that you've seen this year from different teams, and what makes their zone so much more effective?
Well, I would say we've been average at best against zones. And then the other part that makes Syracuse's zone so effective, number one, is their personnel. I think sometimes you get caught up in, well, it's their schemes, not just Syracuse, just in general, any sport, it's the schemes. The schemes are important, but they're not more important than the personnel. And they've got really good players. They, for the most part, have pros on their team, and they're really big and really long. And from the very first day they get there, they play 97% zone for their entire career there. They very rarely play young players. And so those young guys get to see it in a game, and they get to practice every day. And I just think it's kind of part of what they do. It's their culture. It's their heritage. That's how they play.
Stepping aside from looking ahead, Jesuit basketball, the big day at Georgetown's coming up. Speaking of Father Kelly, having him on your bench shows that there's more to Marquette than just basketball. But what does having him around your players actually mean?
Well, I think I think it takes time, even for me, to genuinely appreciate what the Jesuits are about, what they stand for, and the consistency to who they are as human beings. I've yet to meet one Jesuit that's not somebody that you would want to be like, who doesn't set an example for how you should live. And I think as time goes, like our young guys, you know, when Czar Kuby and Mo left, I mean, Father Kelly was just like Todd Smith or Buzz Williams or anybody else. You know, he's around, comes to practice 60, 70% of the time. And then the young guys come, and they're like, I wonder who that old guy is over there. And then they don't know the prayer, you know, that we say every day before the game. And so I just think it takes time. But I think that what they gain from that experience, they understand before they leave, which I think is healthy. I think it's good.
He says he tries to stay out of your way and just kind of, you know, do his own thing and help the players out with the prayer, like you said. But he called you a master and had so much respect for you. And although he doesn't know basketball per se very well, what does it mean to have a guy who's been around all the great coaches here say something like that about you?
No, he would say that if you were the coach. That just tells you how good a person somebody like Father Kelly is. The thing that I have learned about Father Kelly, other than a lot of the Jesuit beliefs and traditions, is he's really, really intelligent, like off the chart intelligent. And I'm normally not geared down enough when I see him that I feel like I can sit down and talk to him. And that's normally why he stays out of my way, because he's not sure which direction I'm going in next. But there is a calmness about him. And, you know, we love old people in our program, Coach Orr, Father Kelly. We got another guy that's in the folk band. He plays the bass. We bring him in 10 or 12 days out of the month. And when those guys are together, it's literally a folk band. What they talk, they're not concerned about us when we put them all on stage. They're good people.
When you go back and look at, the way you break down film, obviously the losses to Louisville, Notre Dame, and now the UConn loss, there are common themes in the second half.
Yep.
The guys that we talked to today, we're talking about it's just been a mindset defensively that's, kind of led to those losses, paved the road to those losses. Is it that simple?
Well, statistically speaking, I would say it's that simple. I think changing a mindset is hard to do. I think that regardless of when it is, to completely be engaged in what's going on, if you statistically look at it, we were up 5 against UConn with 7:33 to play. They had 14 possessions the rest of the way. They scored on 10 of those 14 possessions. At Louisville, I don't know the exact timing of it. I think it was 6 minutes and 30-something seconds. They had 12 possessions, and they scored on 11 of them. So it is they are right. It is a mindset. It is a mentality that we have to have consecutive stops. What led to the leads at Louisville and against UConn were consecutive stops. That's half the game. And then the other thing that statistically, see you later, sweetie. The other thing statistically that I would say about it is offensively, 65% of our baskets in wins have been assisted baskets. 54% of our baskets in losses have been assisted baskets. So, okay, it's 9% difference. Well, 9% difference is 2.5 to 3.5 baskets a game. Well, that's the margin. And you don't want to completely it can't always, Ty, be, well, it's just what I say. Sometimes it needs to be that. Sometimes it needs to be remove my opinion from it. Here's the raw data that proves my opinion. And I think it's the combination of that. I think that we realize that is good. I think that's important. How we handle it over the next 40 days prior to going to New York, that's the key. We've been in this position before and been in worse position. We're 4-4. There's 10 games left. The way we do plus minus, you're supposed to win at home. So that was a -1 against UConn. You're supposed to lose on the road, but if you win on the road, that's a +1. So we were +1 entering last night, and now we're 0, or 2 nights ago. So there's 40 days left. There's 10 games left. 5 are on the road and 5 are at home. And how we handle that mentality at the end of the game and how we handle our mentality to get to the end of the game will determine how good we are or how bad we are. And just having the statistics or just having an opinion is half the problem. Being able to correct it is the other half.